So here's my SD70M-2. Guys, look how bright the reverse headlight is on this thing, the back headlight. I think it's an LED, but it's really, really bright. And what I'm going to do is flip it around and show you how dim the front headlight is. Now just look at the headlight on the front end in comparison to what I just showed you on the back end. It's real dim in my opinion. So what I did was I ordered a replacement PC board for that entire assembly inside there from Lionel. And I think I'm going to crack the shell open here and look in there and see what's involved and try to swap out the board and see if it makes any difference. Like I said, I think a lot of times some of the most difficult part about these things is figuring out what screws you need to take out and getting the shell off. And this one appears to be no exception. There's one screw back here. This is interesting. Usually I see a lot more screws. I don't know if these need to come out. Now this is the SD70M-2 that I got off of the OGR forum. I was told it was brand new, but somebody bought a collection off a guy and he told him it was new. Everything he had was new. Well, one of the ones they sent me was clearly not new, so I sent it back. This one ran really well. It was in real good shape. I wonder if this has the Lion Drive trucks where you can turn them and get them off. Well, even if it does, I don't see any screws underneath there to take this thing off other than those two and these small ones over on the side. Yep, that one there has plastic under it, plastic shell. Going to assume this one does too. Wow, that one's not seated completely in, and it was tight. So I don't know if it was cross-threaded or if it's just not wasn't made right. Look at this, by the way. I don't think I just did this. Look at this. I mean, you know, this gap here. Over here. Ah, whatever. Quality construction as usual. Now, can we get separation? Well, partial. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I've said it a lot of times before, but to me, figuring out how to get the shell off and on without crimping wires, fitting everything in there, without breaking any of the details, that's the hardest part as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Well, it's always good to look around when we open these things up. There, see, every time I play with these things, I end up on the piping here. I end up either I'm not so much I'm not so sure that it actually breaks off. See, as you got to get it in position because it pushes in to both of these at the same time, and just from fiddling around end up knocking stuff off. And that's interesting. It brings up a good point. When I started in trains fairly heavily back in the late 90s, guys were collecting, and I was always told, you know, most of it was the post-war stuff, and because of the paint and the you know, the value of the things, I was always told to handle them. What's going on here? Handle them by the trucks. Pick them up by the trucks. So don't touch the paint, don't touch the body, pick them up by the trucks. Well, I got in that habit a long time ago, and the problem now is, here's a washer, probably was on there. The problem is, if you do that with these, there's such intricate details on them, you always end up knocking this piping off or breaking something off. So a lot of times now I've been grabbing them right by the shell, because I don't think the paint and all that's going to have the value on these that the post-war ones and the collector value had, so I'm not that concerned about it. You'll probably do less damage anyway. So look, that wiring, I'll have to fix that. That wiring's pulled out. It's supposed to be going through this little groove here. I'll have to fix that. So anyway, here's our board down in here. Now, you know, probably what I'll do, instead of causing myself a bunch of effort here, I have a replacement board, and I'm just going to plug it in on these connectors and power it up and see if the light's any brighter or any different. And if it's not, well, there's no point in pulling all this stuff out of here. It looks like you got the two connectors going in there, and these little, I don't know if they're LEDs or just little bulbs. They're probably for the number boards, and this is the headlight itself. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, is plug it in, put it on the track somehow, and fire it up and see if that makes a difference. And if not, then I'm not going through all this. Okay guys, so I put this new board in temporarily. I plugged it in, and I thought it was slightly brighter on the headlight, but I compared it again to the one that's already in there, and it's gone through a lens or something in the front. It's not significantly brighter as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not going to go to any effort to swap this out. There was another guy that commented on my other video when I first mentioned this, and he has an SD70M-2. I think it was Canadian Pacific or something, and he said it was the same way. The rear LED or the rear light was much brighter than the front. You know, maybe it's prototypical. It's kind of like a yellowy orangish color. It's okay, it works okay, so I'm not going to mess with it. The board was only $12, so okay. So I just took this opportunity, now that I'm inside here, to look over things, make sure all the connectors were tight and solid. You know, looking at this just comes up to the board in here, and then there's another wire that comes the whole way back to the rear light. So that was sort of simple. This goes out to the ditch lights up here in the front, and I pushed those wires back down in there. Of course, that one popped out again already. I took the opportunity while I had it open to pull open the little smoke box here and play around with the batting inside there and saturated it really nice with smoke fluid, so hoping that'll help out. Some of these boards were loose, I just reseated them. This is an interesting here, I guess you can't see it, this is interesting. This board, I mean, there's a big capacitor in here, and they put some type of plastic non-conductive material on the bottom so it doesn't hit the board below it. But you can't really, I mean, you can push it down till it hits, but you can tell it's not completely seated. It should go down more, But you can't, because, and see how the board's not straight? I mean, this is the kind of crap that just drives me crazy. Design something like that. I mean, what function, I guess. You know, you're shipping these things back and forth when there's repairs or something needed. This is the kind of stuff that can easily come loose. I mean, you know, because it's not seated right to start with. So, now all that being said, unless I broke something here on the wiring or whatever, this one seems to run really well. And it does look relatively new inside, so I'm going to put the shell back on and test it out here, see if it smokes up good, and then leave it alone.
Dispatcher here, you're lined up and clear inbound. Over. Thank you, sir. Approaching now. Out. Dispatcher, how's that track look? Are we clear? Over. Yes, you have a clear track. Over. Okay. Green lights ahead. Out. Find a register book.